Flux is also in a triangle that I anticipated it would. That's weird. I was just covered KDA on a live stream. Now I'm on Flux and went from KDA to Flux because one person asked, chat or Clay Bomb, and before triangles happen on either, I drew it, and they're both still in it. So my guess of sideways for both of them has happened. So the same rule essentially applies to Flux as my KDA analysis, minus there's no, I don't think the horizontal, the horizontal is not as clear cut and dry. So the trade on this will actually be easier than KDA's if it breaks down. You'll have a more friendly threshold. All right. But both of these, but inversely to the upside, Fluxes will be more challenging, just like KDA's downside trade will be more challenging. So trading Flux to the downside, you have a more obvious and friendly threshold because there's not much else just below the threshold that people will be staring at and defending. Different groups of traders who don't use origin lines like me, because I'm the only person on earth who calls it origin lines and uses them, right? But there's nothing else obvious just below. So a breakdown below this, it'll probably take Flux down into the 50s. If it takes some time to get there, mid 50s. It would hit the next origin line down. Clearly, if you go below here, you can have a big rally back up to this origin line or even a failure pattern above and then come back down. But eventually over the 30 days, you would probably hit this next origin line down. Okay? If you're new to my channel and don't know what the hell I'm talking about with origin lines, right here. They work exceptionally well. And they're called origin lines because they go back to the origin of price. And that's why if you're watching, even for people on the stream, but folks watching this recorded video, this is when you subscribe to the channel because you're seeing something on Flux you won't see anywhere else and something that works very, very, very accurately and you won't see it anywhere else. And go ahead and if you're new and subscribing, hit the bell for all alerts because I'm going to keep you in the know because I cover Flux quite a bit. All right. And then for folks on the stream, go ahead and do the same darn thing. This is your moment to help out your content creator here so I can continue making these videos. Okay. I mean, hell, even go down to the 1 minute chart. I mean, this origin line's been here for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, that's clearly what's being interacted with, right? They're very accurate. Okay, so with Flux, the breakdown is clearer. You'll have to pause the video where I had my origin lines all zoomed out, try to make them the best that you can, but just realize the current one, price came up a bit shy of it, just a tiny bit, but that's actually where I thought it was, where I wanted it to go. I guessed that level almost exactly before it hit. I did not guess a 40% rally afterward, but I would have guessed it was going to just stop here, but it went a little bit over the target, all right? So downside move, very clear. The way price would move there, it's going to be, you have two general options. Either you come down here, toy with it, flatten out, and then accelerate as you go below it. Or, in my opinion, slightly more common way to break down below a resistance point is you start coming closer to it, you do a punch low, you have an initial punch below it, then before bears really, really get into selling it and trading down, you'll have a rejection, maybe some lower highs, but when you take out the punch low, that's when you accelerate to the downside. Maybe the punch low wouldn't be quite as far down. Let me move. Maybe like this. Yeah, so once you take out the punch low, that's when it'll accelerate. It'll happen. If it breaks down, it's a very high likelihood it'll happen in one of those two ways. To the upside, just like Kadeena's downside out of the triangle will be more challenging, Flux's upside will have an immediate obstacle after the breakout, which could create it to keep going sideways after a breakout. It might not be a big breakout because of this origin line. And you can see that this origin line already was a rejection. So people without origin lines who are only looking back a month in price, they'll see about the same line and it will invite sellers to come in. So even a breakout here, what is very likely going to happen is you're going to get a pullback from that area, wherever it hits. If it hits sooner, about 84. If it hits later, 87. but you're going to get a pullback. And reversals start with a pullback. They look like a pullback as they're happening before you can tell it's a reversal. So because I'm not saying a guarantee pullback from this origin line, but because it's very high probability of a pullback from this origin line, that could, and we're in a bear market where Bitcoin could let go at any time in the stock market, you run an increased chance that this breakout doesn't live very long and it actually breaks back down and then goes below the triangle. So if you're trading upside long, you want this origin line here or just this trend line from these recent highs and realize, hey, if it hits here, I need to make sure my risk management is now fully in profit in case it really does reverse from here. I automatically, I'm still in profit no matter what happens. Keep it instead of saying, hey, this is going to the moon. I'm setting no stops. I'm in profit. And in that case, you not only lose all your profits, but that position gets liquidated. And if you have it on cross leverage, your entire account in that futures could be liquidated. So make sure you don't have cross leverage ever. If you ever see the word cross on a platform, hey, it shouldn't be there. It shouldn't even be allowed for retail people. Well, maybe not allowed, but it's horrible. Like switch it to isolated. So we're just dealing with two origin lines with one horizontal with flux. So the breakout zone for this would be very similar to, or the opposite of what happened here. Either you consolidate under, then break out. And if you consolidate under, then you don't need to retest this. You don't need to come back down to touch it as support before breaking out. Or you get a punch high, just like a punch low down here. You'll get a punch high above. It'll eventually find this as support and then take out the punch high and then race right up to here. It'll be the same way. So you only have three things: two origin lines and this horizontal for flux. That'll very likely get you through 2 whole weeks of trading safely with the right ideas in mind.